don't know about it, Bill. Explain your association with Glory.
I wish I could tell you my association as far as titles concerned, because as of right now, the door's been opened. I'm inside. I'm part of the team. I'm willing to look at all possibilities, whether it be, I think right now I'm the face of the company, a spokesperson for a company as far as a celebrity is concerned. I don't know how they want to characterize it, but I'm open to just about anything right now to assist at widening the viewership, widening the scope of the people that they're able to reach. I believe that my position is best served by actively opening those doors through interviews like this, through my associations with other hobbies, other entities, where I can bring eyeballs to the sport. I fortunately have a very well-rounded repertoire as far as my interests and my endeavors are concerned. Therefore, I can call from a lot of different areas. They all, fortunately, kind of lend a hand to each other. So, whether it's introducing these shows on Spike, whether it's being at each event, which I plan to be at, at what capacity I don't know, whether it's attending the press conferences and speaking for Glory, or ultimately being the guy that everybody goes to when they need a quote from Glory, the CEO, whatever it is to help the cause, I'm willing to consider, even as you've heard, stepping in the ring. So it's a passion of mine. It's something that I'm trying to share with a lot of people, because I've seen these guys live this life for a very long period of time. I know the work that goes into the product that people see on television, and as ferocious as the business is, both in and outside of the ring, I want to open the eyes of the casual fan, and not even the casual fan. I want to open everybody's eyes to the fact that these guys, what they see, a lot goes into it. A lot of hard work goes into perfecting these techniques, getting to where it's second nature, getting to where they can get in there and perform at this type of level and provide such an entertaining sport event. And these fights are 9 minutes long. It's crazy. It's the excitement, the meter on the excitement level starts at the upper echelon and stays there throughout the end of the fight.
No, you're the way go ahead, Bill.
So my analogy is, why watch Van Gogh? Why watch somebody paint a painting when you can just walk up and grab it? When you can walk up and view it and have instant gratification for a short period of time, where in a world that we live in where people want 20-minute abs, it's a very gratifying period of time that they spend viewing this event.
Now, you're
in a very long-winded answer.
No, Bill, no worries. The fans do want to know this stuff, and I talked to the CEO the other day of Glory, and very nice guy, and I knew this already when he told me how this all started. It was just, you were watching their show in February that took place in Hampton, Virginia. You were watching the show. You were tweeting about the show. You mentioned them on Twitter, and that's basically how it all started. Did you ever think off of one tweet you would be having all these conversations promoting Glory Kickboxing?
Do you not think I'm a good businessman?
You are terrific. I've followed your career, Mr. Goldberg, and it doesn't surprise me. Just
in all honesty, I don't mean by any stretch to be condescending when I say.
Oh no, not at all.
I'm just screwing with you. But the reality is, if you read the story correctly, that it was an exercise in social media to my business partner here in the gym. And it was, the stars, it was everything was the right time and the right place. I've been training my ass off since September, weekly, for other reasons. And it's something I've become seriously addicted to, even to the point where I got a absolutely demolished, smashed toe right now, and I'm standing in the gym getting ready to train. So it's like I said, I've seen these guys. I've watched MMA. I've been close to MMA throughout the years. I've seen these guys never get the credit that they're due. I've seen shows like K1. I've seen, Showtime. I've seen all of these entities that are trying to put on a good kickboxing product. And I believe that the things that they have involved right now, though it was a little bit turbulent waters as of late, and a little restructuring has gone on, I believe that they still have the pieces of the puzzle to seriously succeed, where there's really no competition out there for them. And once you put them next to the average MMA event, or even the top echelon MMA event, I think the excitement level trumps it tenfold. So it was planning. I knew what was going to happen, and I just wanted to show him what was going to happen. And ironically, the next day I was training with two pro Muay Thai fighters that I know that they would know by name. And so I said, yeah, man, hey, I'm such a fan. Tomorrow morning I'm training with two of your guys. They fought in contender tournaments, so it's in a way, it's helping out my business partner. I've never derived a penny from this place. I haven't. It's not a business venture for me. It's a humanitarian venture for me. It's sitting by and watching this guy continue to try to fulfill a dream of his, which is to see this martial art get the credit it deserves. So if I can step in and help in any way, shape, or form, and be associated with such good guys, such great athletes, and such a cool product, then hey, I'm head over heels on board. And I hope that they looked at me creatively, because there are a lot of things, a lot of ideas that I have as to taking this product to the next level. And I think that we're going to make some serious freaking noise, absolutely serious noise, because once you view it, you're hooked. And if you're not, you don't have a pulse.
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more, because I've been a fan of it for about 15 years, and but mainly, it's really popular in Europe. And why do you think where it's caught on in Europe? Why do you think it hasn't caught on here in the United States?
Why do you think pro boxing is waning in the United States? Because there's not a United States heavyweight contingent. As of late, there has been a little bit of a rise to the top. Mm-hmm. But when Mike Tyson, the years of Foreman and Ali and Frazier, and having the United States being represented in the as the biggest, baddest athlete on the planet, being the world, the heavyweight world boxing champion, which always in the past has been looked upon as the top baddest athlete on the planet. We don't have representation, and I think that was judging and a number of corrupt promoters over the years, and maybe other lack of fighters in other divisions from the United States has led to the not the demise, because it's making a comeback, but it's led to the drop of interest in boxing, I believe. And I truly believe that there needs to be a much bigger U.S. presence in building these future superstars for kickboxing. We're just being destroyed by the Europeans. There's no question about it.
Because it's the one thing that always bothers me about this sport. Because it's like you said earlier, it's a fascinating sport, and you're hooked as soon as you see the first shot. It's like, because I live in Chicago, and I went to the show when they were here in Chicago, and it was just like, and I had never attended a show live, and I was with a couple buddies, and I'm just one as a fan, and I'm like, oh man, this is unbelievable, and then I got them hooked.
Dude, it's a train wreck.
Exactly.
It's awesome. It's like watching two Ferraris hit head on at 180 miles an hour.
Now you look at now you've done a lot of different things and and a lot of people you brought up earlier that there was a report that you were offered a fight and with the former Alberto Del Rio, and the fight's not happening, and because you didn't want it to be a sideshow, which you didn't want to be like Tito and Bonner, and that makes complete sense. And but do you want?
I want that as in a microcosm to be an example of what my intent is. My intent is not to get in here and make a big splash of hit and run. I'm not in for the instant payday. I'm in for the long haul and the duration and the elevation of the sport. And I truthfully don't believe that even if I was in it just for the payday, that having the rumor of me being offered a fight and having me actually fight 2 months later, I think that is the kiss of death when it comes to elongating the value of having me do such. I do not think, it's not smart. But that's where I come in. That's where I can eloquate to these people, the upper management, that in the day and age of everyone searching out professional wrestlers, there's a reason for that. They look for all of this derived from professional wrestling, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Catch wrestling, everything. Pride was character driven.
Yes.
Okay, character driven. The initial frenzy on the UFC because it was character driven. It was Mortal Kombat. It was this guy and an opponent in sharp contrast to him, whether it be looks or whether it be style, and that's where the excitement is. And as violent and as cool as I think the violence is in Glory, I think that the beauty of it parallels the level of violence, which to me is just like the coolest combination you could ever get. Because as I stand in my gym and I'm about to kick the pads with a toe that's absolutely smashed in half, I know what these guys go through, and I know how hard it takes to perfect techniques and to get to look the way that they do, delivering certain techniques that they do, and to have the instinct to be able to get their guard up at the split second, just upon muscle memory, not because they're thinking of doing it. I know how hard those things are. And to watch them do them with such ease and such beauty, oh man, it's awesome. And then to watch a Raymond Daniels come in with, his flamboyant style, contrasting to a strict Muay Thai fighter from Holland. Oh, you're kidding me, right? I mean, that's the coolest thing you could ever ask for, I believe.
Will you, in a crystal ball, and we'll take out the crystal ball here, Bill, and will we see Bill Goldberg in the Glory Kickboxing Arena fighting in 2015?
In 2015? There's a distinct possibility, man, because like I said, I've been training 3 to 6 days a week since September. and if everything aligns to where I believe it's the best business decision for, first and foremost, myself, because there's a lot riding on, Goldberg and his legacy, although I personally believe I can distance myself from that because I'm doing this out of pure passion. I'm not doing it because I need the money. I'm not doing it for any other reason that I put a lot of work in, and I think it'd be kind of cool for people to see me display what I've trained, because nobody knows. It's funny, but, now it's a huge topic how much I've trained. But I've been doing this for a long time. I just don't wear it on my sleeve. That's like when people ask me about the success of CM Punk. Well, hell, I don't know, because he could be training just like me, just not, telling everybody about it. So, I at the beginning, and I've said this story a couple of times already, but Rico Verhoeven, the heavyweight champion,
mm-hmm.
I sent him a message on Twitter, a direct message, right at the beginning when he heard that I was involved and he was excited, and he's a fan from the wrestling days, and I said, listen, man, I'm not coming in here pounding my chest, and I'm not coming in here thinking I'm the baddest dude on the planet. I'm coming in here bowing to you guys, saying what you do is some of the coolest crap I've ever seen, and I know what it takes, and so I respect you guys even more because the amount of time that you put into the display that you're putting on in front of millions of people is I mean, is unbeknownst to most everybody unless you're doing it. So I just want to help, and that's what I told him. And I don't want to demean his product. I don't want to demean his training. I don't want to demean any of their fighters. I just want to add to it with what I bring to the table. And, hey, if I get to a point where I'm confident enough in my technique and my ability at 48 years old to step in the ring, man, I guarantee you I have no problem doing it. But, you know, that's a decision of my partners, not mine, because he's used to training pro fighters, and he knows if they're ready or not. And, you know, taking everything into consideration, whether it be, you know, celebrity 3 2-minute rounds, whatever it is, you know, I go 10 to 15 every weekend.
No.
So we'll see. I mean, hey, if it's best for the betterment of the product, then if the stars align and and everybody prospers to the level that they should prosper in it, I guarantee you it'll happen.
Now, looking back, you know, when you left the NFL and you getting ready to start your pro wrestling career, going down to WCW, and you wish that at that time, like, you wish in the back of your mind now, looking back so many years ahead now, that you would have went into combat sports instead of going into pro wrestling?
Not at all. Not at all. Because as a businessman, especially at that point when I didn't have a pot to piss in from the NFL, I used to own probably the largest MMA gym at its time in the country in Atlanta when I just started my wrestling career. And Kevin Randleman and Mark Coleman and Don Fry and Randy Couture and a number of guys used to come to my gym. And the rate at which they were being paid for their fights was ridiculous. So as a businessman, looking at longevity and everything else into the equation, I think that it was a no-brainer that I jumped into the wrestling business. Would I have loved to have been able to look myself in the mirror making the other decision? Though it, you know, with everything being equal as far as the finances are concerned, I would have chosen MMA in 2 seconds.
I know one of the good things you talk about, and I know you got to get going, Bill, and this will be the final question I ask you, and I thank you so much for the time today. And I know you've talked about it in the past, one of the only guys you talk to outside of wrestling is Brock Lesnar. He made a big decision the other night on SportsCenter saying that he was going to stick with the WWE and he wasn't going to return to the UFC. What do you make of Brock staying in WWE and not going back to the UFC?
Well, he's a smart businessman, and he's a family man. And the reason why I get along with Brock is that, you know, unlike most of the people in that business, he stays to himself, and he doesn't publicize anything he does out of the ring, out of the wrestling business. And when he and I talk, we don't talk business, we don't talk wrestling, we don't talk UFC, we talk cars and we talk family. And so that's why he and I are such good friends. And I think that his business sense is a little of it has to do with some things that I've told him over the years, I believe. And I like to think that, man, I tell you what, I don't know what he's done, but he's got to be the luckiest guy in the world over the past probably 5 years, being able to seesaw between these businesses and leverage one against the other. And, you know, hey, the guy was never at 100%. He wasn't. So who knows? And if he's taking everything into consideration, and at the end of the day, he's getting paid enough money to where he doesn't have to put himself in physical jeopardy anymore, other than being in the wrestling ring. And I respect that. I appreciate it. You know.
Now, I know you said in the past, that you were talking about, you know, you would always, only way you want, if you come back to the ring would be because, so your son can see you in the ring. If you ever did come back, and I know you got a lot of other ventures going on, and I know you're very proud of what you're doing right now, would that be the only guy you'd come back with, just considering what happened at WrestleMania 20, just to have the match that, you know, the fans really want to see? Because I think that's still a match I think they can sell.
No, I could care. Hey man, if the stars aligned and I could have a match with Brock Lesnar, that'd be awesome. I mean, there's nobody out there that I would rather be with, because, you know, we took a doo-doo, and, you know, the match, whatever happened. But at the end of the day, as far as I'd love to have a match with him. I'd love to have a match with Austin. These guys these days, I don't know any of them, but it would probably Ryback or whatever the heck his name is. But I'm not looking to do. Would I do a Brock Lesnar schedule in a heartbeat? Am I saying that the only way that I'd ever get back in the wrestling ring is at the WWE, and I'm waiting by the phone for that to happen? Hell no. I haven't waited by the phone since I left. And if it happens with them, it happens. I don't foresee them waking up and becoming good business people when it comes to me. So I don't foresee it ever happening. Now, there's been a couple offers as of late to have a final match. And I sure do not need the WWE to do that. And the way that I've been offered, to me, you always get off of my path, Gage. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Seriously, dude, why would you step on that? What was I talking about? See, you screwed me up with this, Gabe. Seriously.
Getting international, getting other offers.
I was talking about the one of the biggest things, I would imagine the biggest thing a guy in my position looks at is, is it worth getting back in the ring for one more time? Would it detract from your legacy? Those are questions that, always go, really don't want to wrestle in some high school just for the benefit of watching my son watch me in the ring. So, but there's some absolutely unbelievably cool opportunities that just have presented themselves to make me go, that's I've never heard anything like that before. So it's a reality, man, and it might happen this year.
And
who knows, man? My relationship with them has always been tumultuous, and I don't foresee it ever being anything otherwise.
And I swear this is my final question. Just you look at making everything, and and still today, people say Goldberg, and everyone goes insane. And they released the DVD with you last year, and it was their highest selling DVD. And does that even? And I hear you chuckling there, but does that? What do you make of all that? Just considering you haven't stepped into the wrestling ring, and look at it now, it's been almost 11 years. And why do you think the popularity of Goldberg still is as hot as it was then and then when you were in WCW?
Man, I don't know. I thank God for it every day. These wrestling fans are awesome. And it obviously wouldn't be what it is without them. I think it's a combination of, them having characters that are, kind of carbon copies of me. It's having them, continue to give guys the spear that I, kind of made famous or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It gives the people someone to compare me with. I think the way that I've stood up to the business and spoke my mind throughout, and have been an individual and not had an umbilical cord hooked to it because, that's my only opportunity. I think some people may appreciate that. I think more people don't appreciate it than people do. But, I'm very lucky to have that audience, man. And I guarantee you there'll be one hell of an audience if I come back for something. And I don't care where it is or, as far as I want it to be gigantic. So wherever it is, I guarantee you people will come and see it or they'll pay for it. But, I'm very lucky, dude. Don't think for 1 second that I take advantage of it. And whatever the cause is that my popularity has been able to withstand, them trying to bury me. And, hey, I don't have to say any of this. You said it yourself a second ago. The proof is in the pudding. Mm-hmm. They put a DVD out with my blessing, and that's it. No involvement because they didn't want to pay for my involvement. No nothing. No interviews. No nothing. And it comes out and it blows everything out of the water. And they're surprised by it. I don't get that. it just shows that their ego and their animosity towards me supersedes and is more important than their business sense. And I've told them throughout the years, over the past couple years, that I'll bury the hatchet, and I'm willing to do that because I'm an older guy and I'm more realistic, and my head is, I'm not as short fused as I used to be. And at the end of the day, there's a bigger picture here, and it's how my son sees me in the world. And I would put everything aside and do good business if they had some respect for me. But I think that the desire for me to garner some type of respect for them is something that they refuse to do, and it supersedes their business sense. So the DVD is just a plain example as to the fact that I don't need to eloquate anything when answering that question. That speaks for itself.
Do you think it's because of the old guy, or as Brock called him on SportsCenter, because of the old guy, or the guy that looks like he's going to be in charge?
I think both of them. I think there's a grand disdain for me because I wasn't one of their boys, because I didn't want to play their game, because I felt like I was part of the team and all I needed to do was come in and play my part, and I didn't have to fraternize and just play that game, man. I came from the NFL, man. I wanted to treat this as a business. I'm going to come in, do my thing, and leave. I didn't take things personally until they brought them on a personal level. And I think that was cheesy, and I think it's carnage. It's like being a carny.
Mm-hmm.
And I just chose not to deal with it, man, because life's too short. I don't want to have to look over my shoulder for my boss. It's ridiculous. I'm 48 years old, dude. I'm not a kid. I don't need to crawl back to anybody for anything. I'll take a ditch before I do that. I have a lot of fun digging ditches.
I have too. Do you ever regret going there? Just looking back on it?
I owed it to the fans. I owed it to the fans to try. I regret not having an open mind when I went there, but why should I have had an open mind?
Because exactly of what happened. And I'll take the reporter hat off, and I'll even say, just in all honesty, I always thought the big superstar, coming in, you were the biggest star in WCW. You just look at, you carried them for a couple years, and you were as hot as Austin and hot as Rock and Foley and all those guys, and the way they brought you in, and you had, to me, Bill, it was always this moment in Phoenix at SummerSlam in the Elimination Chamber. That was Bill Goldberg. That was the only time in your WWE run, in my own opinion, that I saw Bill Goldberg, and the fans reacted to it.
Then they saw it and they squashed it.
I agree 100%.
So it was tough for me to endure that week after week after week and get gray at the same time, because it was like, I gotta go to work. Ugh. It wasn't like going to the locker room like it's always been for me in every endeavor. It was misery, and it shouldn't have been misery. I was making a lot of money, and it should have been fun. I was interacting. I was providing a superhero for the kids, but they didn't want me to do that. They had ulterior motives, and for what? Because back in the day, I didn't want to be one of them. Oh, I'm sorry.
And
I'm here to help. I'm here to help put asses in seats.
And you did put a lot of asses in seats.
I think I did, and I could have done it with a hell of a lot more guys in a hell of a lot more ways when I was at the WWE. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And it's not an ego thing with me, man. Austin is the man. Rock was the man. Those guys were, I just wanted to help them, bring people in hands and make as much money for everyone as humanly possible, from the guys, doing the dark matches to me. And, for them, it was more of a lifestyle. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're such a classy guy, and,
thank you, man.
So classy. I've never talked to you, but I've listened to your interviews, and I listened to your show, and I love your podcast. And it's
different, man.
It is
totally different. And that shows you again. I'm not a wrestler. I don't have a podcast like all these other guys, and I'm not talking to guys about being on the road the whole time.
Yeah.
For me, wrestling was a means to an end. And it provided me with a lot of great things. I met some great people, and I was able to be a superhero for a lot of kids. And I made some money. other than that, I don't want to talk about it every week. And I don't have the stories that these other guys have because I was fortunate enough to come in on a different situation. And, sorry, dudes. I mean, I don't want to talk about wrestling. I think there's cooler things out there at 48 years old that I could be involved with than talking about some schmucks that run around in their underwear acting like they're hurting each other every Monday night. I like to drive cars around a track at 150 miles an hour. I like to get in the ring and spar with heavyweight pro fighters. I like to hang out with my son and go to baseball and fishing and remote control cars and drive fun stuff. I like that, man. Life is too short. So.
No, I could not agree more. And we'll end on that note, Bill. And Bill Goldberg will be hosting Top 10 Knockouts of Glory Kickboxing from their first 19 events. You can catch that this coming Friday night, March the 27th, live on Spike TV, immediately following Bellator 135, usually right around 10:15, 10:30 Eastern, so you'll be able to catch that. Bill will be providing the top 10 knockouts in the history of Glory Kickboxing. Mr. Bill Goldberg, thank you so much for doing this on such short notice. I greatly appreciate it. Have the best of luck in class, and hopefully we'll get to talk again real soon, and we can talk about a variety of more different things, cars, fighting, and a whole lot more.
You got it, brother. Thanks for the time, man. And like I said, everybody just give Glory a chance because I guarantee you'll be a lifelong fan afterwards. And like I said, on Spike coming up tomorrow night, don't blink because you might miss the entire fight.
I couldn't agree more, Bill. Make sure you guys do definitely watch. Bill, thank you, and thank you for the time and the best of luck.
You got it, brother. Be good, man. Thank you very much.
You too, Bill. Thank you.
Okay, bro.
That was Bill Goldberg, and literally, ladies and gentlemen, I sent an email. God, it had to be about an hour and a half ago because I had a brain cramp all week about interviewing Bill. I knew I wanted to interview Bill, and I talked to some people at Glory, and then I'm just like, man, about 2 hours, I'm like, you know what? I got to send this email. No, actually, it was 2.5 hours ago. Quick email. Didn't think nothing of it because I knew it was the event, what's coming up, and you'll listen to this tomorrow on Friday, so I'll say, on Friday. And they said, hey, can you do it? I was going to get ice cream. And they call. They're like, can you do it? Bill's going to the gym. He's getting ready to train. I'm like, absolutely. Give me 5 minutes. I got in, got my gear, got my headphones on, and got ready to rock and roll. Gave another number to call, and it was a great conversation with Bill. Make sure you guys watch because Bill is right. If you haven't watched Glory, get the watching. You watch these knockouts, you will be hooked. Top 10 Knockouts, Glory Kickboxing, hosted by former WWE and a WCW heavyweight champion in the world, Bill Goldberg. Knockouts from the first the most exciting and devastating knockouts from his first 19 events. Thank you to Bill. I imagine this interview is going to make a lot of noise. So thank you very much. Leave your comments. Subscribe to my channel. Please do. A lot of MMA interviews, doing a little more pro wrestling interviews, doing some kickboxing, boxing, a whole lot more. Like, comment, subscribe. Stephen Milhouse, and this article will also be up on sportingnews.com Friday morning. Check it out. Thank you.